myself Manjibin Fatima. I am a teacher at Ahlebat High School and Junior College. In our previous class, I have started the portion of 6th class Social Studies, and we discussed the first chapter in Social Studies, that is reading and making maps. Now in this class we will proceed with our second chapter in Social Studies, that is globe, a model of the earth. So let's begin with our chapter. One evening, Sundar and Kalpana were looking at the moon, and Sundar asked, "If I went to the moon, what would the earth look like? What can I see from there?" Kalpana told him that they could easily find out answers from the internet. Later, she showed him some pictures of the earth taken from moon. This is how it looked. So what happens here is, there are two friends, Sundar and Kalpana. One day, they were looking at the moon, and Sundar asked, "If I went to the moon, what would be the earth look like?" So what would be the earth shape? So Sundar is asking to Kalpana that if I went to the moon, what will be the earth look like? And what can I see from there? How the earth will look like from there if I went to the moon? So Kalpana replied to his question that they could easily find out the answers from internet. As you know, everything is available in internet and they can easily find out. And Kalpana, what she did, and she showed him the pictures of the earth which were taken from the moon. So you can also browse the internet and you can see the pictures which are taken from the moon. Now let's proceed with our lesson. Doesn't the earth look like a blue moon? It looks blue because a large portion of the earth is covered with ocean. Now Kalpana is saying that doesn't the earth look like a blue moon? When we see from the moon, when we see earth from the moon, it looks like a blue moon. Why? Because the large portion of the earth, is covered with oceans. So because of these oceans, the earth will look like a blue moon when we see from the moon. And you can only see one part of the earth which receives sunshine, and almost every part of the earth will look like a blue moon, but one part will look brighter because it receives sunshine. The earth is like a ball. So when you see the shape of the earth, it is like a ball and it is like that of the moon. We can see that the moon and earth has same shape. Bring some globes to the classroom and ensure that each group of 5 to 6 students has a globe. A globe is a model of the earth. It shows the shape of the earth and land and water, the continents and oceans and countries of the world. So I guess you may have seen globes. Many times. So now there is an activity. You can bring a globe to your home and you can see the structure of the globe, and globe is like a model of the earth for us. When we see the globe, directly we will imagine the earth and the shape, and by seeing the shape of the globe we can understand that globe is just like the moon. It is the model of the earth and it shows the shape of the earth, the land and water, the continents and oceans and countries of the world. By looking at the globe, we can get the information about the shape of the earth, the land, the water and other countries of the world. You can see that the earth is like a ball, spherical in shape. How do you think people stand on it? So you can see that earth is like a ball and spherical in shape, means which is round in shape. And how do you think people stand on it? Can people stand on it? Can you think? See, we'll take an example of ball. When you take a ball and try to stand on it, can you stand? No, we cannot stand because that is round in shape and it is not stable when we'll stand. So why do you think how we are standing in this earth? So this is the question, right? So to answer this question, so place some standing toy people on different parts of the globe. So here's an activity. When you will bring the globe, try to place some toy people and place some standing toy people on different parts of the globe. So when you will bring the globe, try to place some toy people on that globe, and you can see that the person at the lower part is standing upside down and that the person in the middle might just fall from the earth. So the person who is standing at the lower part will stand upside down and the person who is standing in the middle might just fall from the earth. We never fall off the earth because the earth acts like a powerful magnet which pulls us towards it. So the answer to your question is when you place the toys on the earth. So the answer to your question is when you place the toy people on the globe, you can see that the person who is standing in the middle might just fall down and the person who is standing at the lower part will be upside down. So we never fall from the earth because the earth acts like a powerful magnet. Earth acts like a powerful magnet which always tries to pull us towards, it. In fact, we can only fall on earth but never off the earth. So even if we fall down, we will fall on the earth. So even if we fall down, we will fall on the earth, not off the earth. As I told you, a globe is a model of the earth. But do you think the earth is round in shape or the earth is like a ball? Actually, the earth is not like a perfect sphere. So earth has spheroid shape. It is not a perfect sphere. That means it is not actually round in shape. Not perfectly round. It is a little pressed at the two poles and bulged slightly in the middle around a line called the equator. So we can say that it is not perfectly round. It is little pressed at the two poles and bulged slightly in the middle around the line, which is called as equator. However, this is so slight that most globes and maps do not show it all. So the shape of the earth is little slider. Because of that, we will not consider it and we will consider the earth is round in shape. So an interesting thing about the shape of the earth is that if we keep traveling from one point to and without turning back, we come back to the same point. So there is an interesting thing about the shape of the earth, that is if we keep traveling from one point to the other, you can do an activity here. When you see the globe, just try to point out a place with the tip of your finger, and when you see that without turning back, when you take your another finger without turning back around, you will come to the same direction from where you have started. So this is the interesting point about the earth. Try this on the globe. So you can try this on the globe. Start from one point and keep going to the same line and see if you come back to the straight point. So scientists in ancient period in India and Europe had figured out that it was like a ball or sphere. Therefore, later around 1492 CE, sailors like Columbus, an Italian explorer, set out from Europe with the hope of reaching India. So in the ancient period, scientists were discovering about the earth and they found out that earth was like a ball or sphere in shape. So at that time, they found out that earth is like a ball or sphere in shape. But later on in 1492 CE, sailors like Columbus, he is an Italian. So Columbus is a sailor and he is from Italy, and he explored and set out from Europe with the hope of reaching India. So he started from Europe to reach India. Now you can take a globe and run your finger along the path taken by Columbus. So you can start from the Europe by pointing out your finger at Europe, and you can start from the Europe and try to reach India through the globe along the path taken by Columbus to reach America and on the imaginary route to reach India. So you can start from America and you can reach to India through imaginary route. Oceans and continents. As you can see on the globe, most of the surface of the earth consists of water in the form of ocean. If you go to a coastal village, you can observe hills. So now we will discuss about oceans and continents. So when you see the globe, before also we have discussed, when you see earth from the moon, it looks like a blue moon. So why do you think it's a blue moon? Because almost every part of the earth is covered with water. So now when you see the globe, most of the surface of the earth consists of water in the form of oceans. If you go to the coastal village, you can observe hills. So when you go to the coastal village, you can observe hills. Seas and oceans stretch for hundreds and thousands of kilometers, just endless water. You can travel from one end to other only with the help of ship, and it may take many days or even months to do so. So oceans and seas stretch for hundreds and thousands of kilometers, just endless water. So that we can say that this water has no end. It is endless, and you can see the ocean everywhere for hundred and thousand of kilometers, and you can travel from one end to the another end only with the help of ship, and it may take some days and it may take months and years to do this. Naturally, we cannot live in these oceans. We live on land. You can see large sheet of land on the globe which are called as continents. There are 7 continents. So naturally, we cannot live on these oceans, right? We cannot live underwater. So we live on the land. The space which is not covered with water is called as land, and we are living on the land. And you can see large sheet of land when you see the globe, and it represents some continents. So there are 7 continents which are present. Now you can try to find out the names of 7 continents, and one of these continents is actually covered with ice. Find out its name and location. So this is an activity for you. Now we will proceed with our lesson. It is not an interesting fact that the North Pole and the South Pole of the Earth are covered with ice. The North Pole has a frozen ocean, that is Arctic Ocean, and the South Pole has a huge accumulation of ice on it. This is called as Antarctic shield of ice. So this is not much interesting that North Pole and South Pole of the Earth are covered with ice. The northern part and southern part of the Earth is covered with ice, and the North Pole has a frozen ocean, that is Arctic Ocean, and South Pole has a huge accumulation of ice on it. This is called as Antarctic shield of ice. Villages, towns and cities are located on the continents. So when you see the globe, you can see that villages, towns and cities are located on the continents. You will find hills and valleys, agriculture, mines, factories, etc. on the land on these continents. So when you will observe on these continents, you will find the agriculture, you will find the hills, valleys, agriculture, mines, factories, etc. on this continent. Directions on the globe. You had learned about 4 directions in the earlier chapter. So in our previous chapter, we have discussed about the 4 chapters, that is east, west, north and south. Now you can locate the north and south pole. If you face north, the east is on your right. So we have discussed that if you are facing the northern part of the world, you will have the east at your right and the west at your left, and the earth rotates every day from west to east. So earth rotates every day from west to east. Can you rotate the globe and see how this happens? So when you will have a globe, you can rotate it and you can check how this happens. You have observed the 2 poles of the globe. What are the poles? How there are 2 points on the opposite end of the earth. If you draw an imaginary line connecting to 2 poles, passing through the interior of the earth, it will form the axis of the line around which the earth rotates. Here I have drawn a rough diagram of a globe. It is actually not perfect in shape, but let's focus on the poles. So this pole represents the northern part of the globe, and this pole represents the southern part of the globe, and the middle part of the globe is called as equator. So when you rotate a globe in this direction, means at the right direction, it will rotate, and this part is actually covered with water, and the part where we are living, this is the land. And when you draw an imaginary line from northern part, and when you draw an imaginary line from the northern part to the southern part of the globe, it will form the axis or the line around which the earth rotates. Lines on the globe. You will see many lines across the globe. Some run from the North Pole and the South Pole. The other run around the earth from the west to the east. These imaginary lines drawn by map markers help us locate places on the globe and map. We will see how they are drawn in later classes. Now you can see that many lines across the globe, and some run for the North Pole to the South Pole. The others run around the earth from west to east. So there are some lines which are from north to south and from west to east, and these imaginary lines drawn by map markers help us locate places on the globe and map. So try to mark the places of the earth through the marker, and you can see that the concept of lines on the globe called latitudes and longitude along with poles were well known to our Indian ancestors like Aryabhatta, who used terms to explain the places. So the concept of these lines, when you observe the globe, we are having lines on the globe, and the concept of these lines on the globe is called as latitudes and longitudes along with the poles, and they are well known to our ancestors like Aryabhatta, who used terms to explain the places. Now let's see what do you mean by latitudes and longitudes. Let's see latitudes first. So these are the imaginary lines that are drawn from west to east. And can you spot these lines? Compare the length of these lines. Do you think they are all of the same length? So try to compare these lines from west to east and try to observe whether they are of same length or not. The longest of these lines is called the equator. It divides the globe into two equal halves called as hemisphere. So the longest line, if you observe these lines, so if you observe the length of these lines, the longest line is called as equator, and it divides the earth into two equal halves, and this is called as hemisphere. Means half part of the earth is called as hemisphere. When you take two half parts, they are two hemispheres, right? Identify the equator on the globe and note down the continents it passes through. Also identify the northern and the southern hemisphere. In which hemisphere is India located? Which temperature has more water on land? So try to identify the equator on the globe and note down the continents it passes through. Means try to find out the continents which are passing through the middle part of the earth or middle part of the globe. Also try to find out where our country is located, whether it is in the northern hemisphere or whether it is at the southern hemisphere. And also try to find out which hemisphere has more water on land. Means which part of the earth, whether northern part or whether southern part, has more water on the earth. Let's discuss about the longitudes of the earth. These imaginary lines run from one pole to the other. Unlike the latitudes, these lines are in the same length. So these are the imaginary lines which run from one pole, that is northern pole, to the southern pole of the globe, and they are unlike latitudes. These longitudes are unlike latitudes. Why? Because in latitudes we are having the lines with different lengths, whereas in longitudes the length of these lines is same. Every line has same length, and there are two main longitudes, the Greenwich line, which is also called as 0 degree longitude. So there is a Greenwich line at the middle of the globe, and it does have 0 degree, and we will call it as 0 degree longitude. And the international date line, which is also called as 180 degree east or west longitude. So when you take this line 180 degree east or west longitude, this is also called as international date line. You will learn more about the importance of these lines in the higher classes. The latitudes and longitudes create a net that covers the map and helps us to locate places. If you know the latitude and longitude of a place, you can easily locate it on the globe or a map. So when you know the latitude and longitude, you can easily locate the globe or a map. So this was all about our lesson. In this lesson we have discussed about the shape of the earth, oceans and continents, about the latitudes and longitudes, etc. So I hope you understand the concept very easily, and also I suggest you to bring a globe and try to figure out the places, and try to figure out the continents on the globe, and try to find out the place, and try to find out your country with the help of globe. So when you do this activity, you will understand the concept very clearly, and we will continue our next chapter in next class. Thank you.